Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digi Finance video. So looking back at UUTI, we have some early sales rankings for the best card in each rarity for the new set in Japan, BT04 or Great Legend, and it is definitely looking like it is going to be a really interesting and really powerful and popular set. So going over each of the sales going over each of the rarities and the best-selling card in each rarity. Starting with the SR, we have Chaosmon Volderarm. So Chaosmon Volderarm is a new level 7. This time it digivolves off of green and yellow. And as a result, green and yellow now have a level 7. And it has a very, very powerful effect where when you digivolve into it, you could use its ability twice to reduce the DP of one of your opponent's Digimon by 7,000. And then it has another effect where when it is deleted, then you get to gain 3 memory, which just overall makes it a very, very powerful card. So this card being a new level 7, especially for two colors that really didn't have a level 7, means that those two colors now have a level 7, and this card is seeing a whole bunch of play in all sorts of decks for those two colors, just because it is a very powerful card, and it does quite a lot to control the board, on top of being a very powerful card to just sit on for some very powerful board presence. So overall, this card is just doing a whole lot, and as such, it isn't necessarily that big of a surprise to see this card being the best-selling SR so far in the early sales of the 4th expansion. Next, going into the best-selling rare of the set, it is going to be another level 7 in the form of Chaosmon. So this is the normal version of Chaosmon, and yes, he is a rare, and the other one is an SR, and the big difference is this one digivolves off of black or green, so that is something really powerful to note, that green now has another level 7 that they could play with, and then black also just so happens to have another level 7. Black has almost all of them at this point, but regardless, this version of Chaosmon is very, very powerful because he has the innate ability of Penetrate. So that means when this Digimon does battle with another Digimon, if this Digimon survives, then he is also going to be dealing security damage. So that kind of fits more in line with what Green's ability is, where the Volderarm fits more in line with what Yellow is doing. But still, the fact that he has Piercing is very, very powerful. And then he has a really interesting Digivolve ability where you get to make this Digimon active, and then after that, this Digimon can attack it into an opponent's Digimon with this effect, and then you also can attack into a Digimon that is in the active state. So not only do you get to basically swing with your Mega, but when you Digivolve up into him, it doesn't exactly pass the turn because the full effect has to resolve, so that means you get to stand him up, and then he could attack into another opponent's Digimon and potentially delete it because he has some really high DP, and then as we know, green and black has been playing with some buffs, so it's not necessarily uncommon for him to see 15 or even 16 or higher DP. So that means he is going to be a very, very powerful card to attack with, and he's still going to be dealing security when he attacks. And then even after the effect finishes resolving, then it'll pass turn to the opponent, and then he still has the Penetrate ability, so that's still just going to be a very, very powerful threat to deal with, and overall, it's making Chaosmon a very, very powerful card. And then, again, he's seeing a whole bunch of early play in a lot of green and black decks, because black already has so many level 7s that this is just another good tool to add to that toolbox. And then green gets a second level 7, and this one just fits a little bit more in line with what green's doing, and it's just looking to be a very powerful card. Next onto the uncommons. The best-selling uncommon in the early sales of Great Legends is going to be Xiaomon. So Xiaomon is a pretty interesting card because it is a Digitama, and it has a very powerful effect that it gives where during your turn, while you have 10 or more cards in your trash, this Digimon gains Retaliation. So Retaliation is basically when this Digimon does battle with an opponent's Digimon, then that Digimon is going to get deleted whether this one wins or loses the fight. It doesn't matter, it's just going to get deleted because of the retaliation effect. So this is really, really powerful for purple because this is basically just a very solid form of removal on a Digitama for purple. So purple ordinarily struggles a little bit with the, in quotation marks, quality of Digimon, but it's still a very, very powerful ability to have because it allows you to basically make some more efficient trades and figure out different ways to utilize some other Digimon, and it really kind of just makes your opponent afraid to attack because if they don't have anything to help defend themselves or mitigate your field, then this retaliation effect that it's giving will just be very, very hard for the opponent to deal with, especially since it can come from the raising area. So if they like swing with a big guy and then you have a Xiaomon with, let's just say, a Tapermon in the raising area, and then you move it up and then he can attack into the opponent's Digimon and potentially delete it because of the retaliation effect. So just the sheer power of what retaliation does makes Xiaomon a very, very powerful Digitama to play around with. And as such, that's why it is the best-selling uncommon. And then the best-selling common is, oddly enough, the purple Gabumon. So this Gabumon isn't really doing anything super special. Its stats aren't, like, insane. It's just a very standard 3 to play, 0 to evolve, 4000 DP card. It's not like doing really anything for purple, but it kind of symbolizes that people are still really interested in purple, and purple is still doing a whole bunch of very powerful things. So I think just the higher DP compared to a lot of other rookies for purple just is what's making this card stand out, because purple, as we know, likes to res a whole bunch of their rookies and champions, and this being one of the more powerful rookies definitely makes it a better target depending on the usage. So if you're trying to revive it with, let's just say, Anubismon, then it could swing at the opponent's security, and the fact that it has higher DP might matter a little bit more just because it has a higher chance of surviving a security check. So that just might be why it might be seeing a lot of play, but it also just symbolizes that people are still very, very interested in purple, and purple is still a very, very powerful and popular color, at least according to these early sales rankings in Japan. So that's kind of all I really have for this video. It's just really interesting to see what is selling so well in Japan. It definitely isn't a surprise that the 2 level 7s are topping, because those just have a whole lot of attention, and it's going to be really, really interesting when the English market gets them to see how they're going to react to basically a level 7 in the rare slot. We already know that Volderarm just is going to be a really decent card and a really expensive card, just again because of his sheer amount of utility and popularity. But the fact that we have a level 7 in the rare slot is definitely going to be really, really interesting, because there's going to be a higher amount of the original Chaosmon over Volderarm. So that's just one big interesting thing to note. And yeah, that's kind of all I really have. So if you want to help support me in the channel, I do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. Whenever you use that affiliate link to buy anything off of tcgplayer.com, some of that money will go to helping support the channel. And then on top of which, I also make and design playmats. So I have partnered with Overcard Gamers over on Facebook, and they're so nice enough to print some of the playmats that I have been designing. I do design regularly, so feel free to check back with them to see all of my designs going forward and in the future. And as always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.